What is up, everybody? Scott the Dog Dad here from rawfeeding101.com, and I am sitting down today with Jamie, and we are going to talk about her experiences with raw feeding, the Raw Feeding 101 course, and of course, her dogs. So how are you, Jamie?
Good. How are you?
I am doing awesome. Glad that Zoom decided to finally work for us and finally connect us here so we could do this interview. And I'm going to jump right into it because I don't want to miss out on any opportunity, and I don't want people to just jump off because we're just sitting here bantering back and forth as much as I would love to banter. But really quick, give me an intro about, just a really quick intro about you and who your dogs are and how dogs became a part of your life.
Well, I'm Jamie, and this is Mackenzie right here in the corner. And the red one you might see, there he is, that's Jackson. And he's the one that prompted me to learn more about raw feeding. I always had some sort of idea that I wanted to get into it, but I never knew if it was too expensive or anything along those lines. And then I stumbled across your videos and learned that you had a course. And then dogs have just always been a part of my life, and I just love animals.
So you had them when you were growing up?
Yep.
Were they
Always.
Did they work with your family, or was there just always family dogs? Or
just always family dogs. We always had 2 to 3. We just always had dogs. I've just always grown up with animals.
I'm so jealous. I grew up in houses where the landlords were always like, no dogs, no dogs, no dogs. I'm like, I hate you all. I just want a puppy. So how were you originally exposed to raw feeding? Was it the Dog Dad videos? Was it Facebook? Was it a blog or something? How did you originally see what is this whole raw feeding thing?
Probably just stumbling across it on Facebook and things like that.
Somebody talking about it in a group.
Yeah, or maybe even at a dog agility school and things like that, but I never knew what all went into it and how much went into it, and it was just kind of intimidating because you don't want to do something wrong, and then everything that goes along the lines of it, you just don't want to do anything wrong. And then thankfully, when he got sick, I stumbled across your class and your videos, and I was like, well, I've already spent so much money at the vet and everything else, what else is there to lose? And beautiful. I'm so happy that I clicked buy on your videos the one day.
Well, I love it too. I'm glad that your puppy is feeling better, and that kind of transitions me into my next question, which you said now, which is, why did you decide to, which we now know the answer to, but why did you decide to say yes? Let's hear the story of what was going on with your dog, and why was it bad enough, or what made you do what you just say? What made you click buy? What made it a big enough ordeal to go from, okay, I don't want to just scoop things out of the bag anymore, as easy and simple as that is, to, all right, here's all this other stuff that I need to learn how to do now?
The main reason was because he was so sick, and he lost about 10 pounds because he had constant vomiting and diarrhea, and even around his eyes, he would be so itchy that he would itch himself to where he was bleeding.
Right.
And just watching him on a daily basis, and then he would puke and have diarrhea, and it would be fine for one day. And then every time that they were like, oh, try to add back in the kibble after being on chicken and rice, it would just get worse. He was just getting worse and worse each time. And I had no idea what to do. I was already spending so much money at the vet. Nothing was helping. And thankfully I found your videos.
That's crazy. It's such a common story, right? Unfortunately, it's so common, and it drives me crazy because here is, and I'm not bashing vets, so no one make me
right
in the comment section, but here's a situation where you go home and, like you were saying, you start feeding your dog, real food. You start feeding them the rice and the chicken and all that kind of stuff, and things start getting better. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as you go back to kibble every time, all of a sudden all the issues start coming up, and I don't know, I guess I shouldn't assume because you didn't say that, but no one being the veterinarian, not you, is like, maybe it's the kibble. And it's interesting that you bring that up because in a section of the new book that I'm putting out that's coming out, I'm going to feature a story from someone named Monica. And they actually had a dog who went into renal failure from kibble. And when they got a 24 to 72 hour prognosis, basically you got 1 to 3 days left with your dog, go home, make them comfortable, and enjoy the time left. And what's interesting, obviously that's horrible. But what's interesting is that the veterinarian said, don't feed them any kibble. Your dog can't handle the chemicals that are in processed food. It's just, why are they eating it then?
Exactly.
I feel like there's some kind of missing link in the chain here that no one is bringing up, or at least not until recently people are bringing up. So how did you find the Dog Dad channel? How did you find the course? Was it just through random searching on YouTube? Did you see it in the Facebook group? How did Raw Feeding 101 come into your face?
I think I was actually on Pinterest, and there was a picture, and like someone shared, like it was a picture and it said they didn't own the picture, and it said your name in the corner, and I ended up Googling your name and then ended up finding it that way.
Who knew? Who knew? I didn't even really know I had stuff going on to Pinterest. I used to share some links over there like months and months ago, but apparently I should be sharing stuff over there more often. That was the last thing. You could have asked me 10 times, and that would have been the last thing that I would have guessed, is that you found it on Pinterest. So what was your experience like? Once you got in, because you originally got in on the Gumroad platform, the first platform, and then just earlier this morning, we finally got you transferred over to the new site, rawfeeding101.com, but the content's all the same. But how was your experience? Going through it, was it hard? Was it easy? Was it a little bit of both? What was your overall experience?
I think it was kind of like a little bit of both, but more overall easy, because I would just listen to it either when I was like working or like on my headphones, and just throughout the day or doing whatever. And I was just listening to your videos and jotting down little things. And I learned so much, but it's just intimidating, because you're told your entire life, like, oh, you have to, like, even when your dog's sick, make sure you boil the chicken, make sure you do this, don't give them, they can't have bones, and all these other things. And then the first day that I gave them any raw food, I was sitting there like, oh my gosh, like, are they going to be okay? So, I mean, it's just intimidating.
I love it. It's so, so true. I remember the first time that I fed raw, and it was the exact same experience. And I was just going, I know this is the best thing for them, but there's still that little voice in the back of your head going, are you really sure this is the best thing? And I actually literally had somebody standing there, an actual person. It was the people that we were renting from at the time's friend or something, that was one of those know-it-all people that said, are you sure about that? You're going to end up killing your dog with salmonella in the bones. And he's literally like, there's literally somebody standing there telling me that I'm going to kill my dog and give them poisoning. I'm like,
right.
Yes, I'm really sure. In the back of my mind going, no, I'm not really totally 100% sure.
Right. And then like people make you second guess yourself. Like, are you really doing the correct things? And
right.
I mean, 48 hours later, after 5 months of him being sick, he had solid stool. He stopped vomiting. Yes, he still had reflux, but then I got into some of your other videos where you mentioned Slippery Elm, and now he doesn't have reflux anymore. And he's back to his like spunky self. He's
a healthy dog, not a sick, constantly with vomit and diarrhea dog. Beautiful. I love it. I don't get to hear very many. I hear them, but always in little bite-sized pieces and like Facebook posts and comments and stuff. So it's awesome to hear the story all the way through from somebody firsthand. Was there a particular section that was the hardest and a particular section that was your favorite? Like, which was your favorite section and which was the one that just made you go, my brain hurts? If there was one that made your brain hurt.
I think probably like everyone, the bone. Bone is like the hardest. You're like, okay, am I figuring this out correctly? But I think like the most intriguing part was when you talked about the muscle meats, because that's kind of fun to like feed your dog like all the muscle meats because
Yep.
you can pick so many different things. So
Yes.
I think that one was like the most fun when you talked about that one in your videos.
Like, oh my gosh, there's so many things that I can actually
Right.
feed.
And you don't like, you feel like you're so limited when it comes to like when you don't know anything.
Mhm.
And it's opened so many doors and it's fun. So I like it. And I like meal prepping and doing everything for them.
You've been killing it with meal prepping. The pictures
Thank
that you've been sharing are awesome. And you know this because you saw the comment about it, but I laughed out loud after I figured it out when I saw your very first share with meal prepping. When I saw your picture and I went, those look like the meals that I make. And then I read further on and I was like, oh, this is a course student. That's probably why it looks like my meals.
Right. Like, it was definitely worth, like, I lost not all of it, but some of the, like, I'm so nervous. I don't know what I'm doing. I still felt like I didn't know what I was doing, but he was getting better. My other one was benefiting from it also. And I learned so much from your videos. And I was weeks of trying to find things on Pinterest and Google, and it was just like a circle of, wait, this said this, and then this said this, and then you're so confused. And you broke it down, and it was so simple. Even though it was
Yep.
still intimidating, you made it simple. So
Yeah, it's amazing how you go from one side of the, we'll say one side of the transition to where you're just like, there's so much stuff. I'm so intimidated. I'm going to do something wrong. There's way too much for me to learn to be able to do this safely. And then you get on the other side of the fence, so to speak, and you're like, why was I so worried about this? Like, yeah, there was stuff that I needed to learn to do this, safely, but now it's just autopilot. Now, like, I can't believe I was worried about this stuff.
right. Exactly.
I
Completely.
love it. I love it. And you made a point there that I wanted to bring up, and I just lost it, and I'm gonna remember it as soon as we're done.
Okay.
I'm gonna put my head through the wall for it. Ah, gosh, it was such a good point too. Oh no, I guess we're just gonna have to move on. If I remember, we'll come back to it. So when you were going through that, that's what it was. Yay, I remembered. That one of the things that is so hard for people is that whole confusion thing of one person said this, 10 other people said this, and it's just back and forth, like we discussed I discussed in the 101 different answers video, where you're going to hear 101 different things online when you ask one question. And people have often asked me, like, why should I bother paying for this course when all this information is out there for free? And it is. There's nothing in that course that isn't, it's all original. I didn't steal anybody's stuff. But in one way or another, all that information is online somewhere for free. But the thing for me was to put it into one place so that somebody could just go from A to Z because of exactly what you are talking about. So can you talk a little bit about your experience of navigating the online world and going like, all right, I'm finally sure about this thing. Crap, I found this article and it said something completely different.
It pretty much like, it almost brought me to tears because I was like, okay, I got it. And then I'd find, like you said, I found all these other articles stating all these other things. Then you find forums of people sharing things that, like, wait a minute, that can't be right. And then, he was so sick that I was so desperate, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And it was almost like I was about to just like break down and start crying because I had no idea what to do. And then I stumbled across your videos, and then I learned so much that I'm so thankful that I stumbled across your stuff, because I feel like if I didn't, I'd still be in the realm of going back and forth to the vet, him being on prescription diets and spending so much money and them not even helping, and just still wasting my money technically.
Right. And really at the end of the day, after all those emotions are said and done, you're asking that question, what am I going to do? Because you're sitting there and you're going, this isn't working. This is all confusing me and it seems complicated and I don't know what I'm doing, but I know that I can't just keep doing this because it's not working. I'm using the drugs, I'm using the prescription diets, I'm spending all this money at the vet, and nothing is changing. It's just getting worse. What am I going to do? Like,
exactly.
It's unfortunately such a common story, and it like literally breaks my heart every day, every time that I see somebody's post in the group of their dog that has all these issues, and you're just like, I just want to like reach through the screen and tell you everything all at once.
Right. Right.
Oh, so it's so awesome.
Like every time if I make a post, I just try to say like, take the course, because I mean, I feel like it honestly like saved his life, but he lost 10 pounds. He was puking like gelatinous blood. It was getting so bad that, I mean, and he's only 2. So, I mean, I was so worried. And then the vet's like, you're going to have to bring in for endoscopies, and we're going to have to go in and take biopsies. And I was like, wait a minute, like, this is all because, like, I feel like because of kibble, and then they just try to push their prescription diets. And then even if you try to bring up, like, anything about raw, then they kind of shut you down. At least my vet does. And then, I mean, if I'm going to be spending $80 on a bag of kibble, I'd honestly rather be spending $80 on meat.
Yes, absolutely. And that's actually a super interesting question. If you were to look at, $80 spent on a bag of prescription diet and $80 spent on whole fresh foods, which one of them goes farther? The raw, the meat, yep. And it doesn't make your dog throw up gelatinous blood.
Exactly. It's a plus.
Not making light of the issue at all. Just saying, here's the reality: is there's this food that is way ridiculously expensive. And we even have people like in the space that come from the veterinary world, like Gregory Lucas, saying prescription diets, even as bad as they are in all their different ways, for what they were intended to do, they were never intended to be fed on a consistent basis. They were supposed to be this temporary fix while your dog got better kind of thing. So here we have a food like that costs a ridiculous amount of money. And how big were those bags? Like 5 pounds, maybe?
Maybe. Like, I think the one was 8 pounds.
Yeah.
And it was $80.
And then you can go to the store and spend $80 on, we go to our local Asian market and spend $80 on, I mean, know how many pounds of food, of pork tongue and pork uterus and liver and kidney and all this stuff. And you feed 2 gigantic German Shepherds for 10 days. And it doesn't have to be ridiculously expensive.
Right.
Did you find now I'm just kind of getting all giddy asking questions and wanting to pick your brain. Did you find the 16 ways to save video helpful? Have you been able to utilize any of that to cut down your costs?
I mean, a little bit. It's hard, like in my area, that there are butchers. So, but there's not many that actually like do their own, like fully do their own things. It's more like they just get in whatever and then chop up their certain things. But I did find that I did get like chicken necks and turkey necks for a cheaper price than say at my normal, just regular grocery store. So it was cheaper that way. And then my husband's friend at work, he was getting rid of some of his venison, and he gave us like 10 pounds for free. And he told me that, when he ends up getting rid of like older meats, that he'll give me certain things. And I have a couple other people too. So I have that benefit. So, I mean, so some of the things did come in handy.
I love it. I love it. It's like you're just talking about all these things. It's almost like you've watched all those videos before.
Yeah, I definitely watched every single
there's no like one, I don't mean to, the 16 ways video, raw feeding, all that stuff, there is no one perfect place unless you have an amazing hookup. And if you have that amazing hookup, never, let them stop being your friend. But there's no one perfect place where you're going to be able to go and find everything that you will ever need significantly cheaper forever. It's all, just like I say in those videos, it's all about that cost equation where you can either spend more money and put zero amount of time and creativity into finding your food, or you can put a little bit more time and creativity, like you said, going to your butcher, talking to friends, and being a little bit more creative with that little more time, and spend significantly less So it's all about, picking and choosing, putting out an ad. Maybe you get some free a hunter's freezer clean out before their next hunt, or your friend starts giving you free meat because they need room in their freezer. So it's not just one place. The 16 ways to save is not going to be a video where it's like, here's store A, B, and C, and they're all ridiculously cheaper compared to all these other places. It's all putting in that time and effort. But in the end of the day, it's worth it because your dog is healthy and they're not on prescription diets, drugs, and vet visits every couple of days. And I can't even, I'm not envious of your experience there.
The stress, I didn't sleep for it was 4 months because it was constantly going outside and everything else. I was not sleeping. I slept on my kitchen floor a few nights because there's tile. Because there's tile, and it was the easiest place to clean up if he had an accident.
Oh, so bad. So bad. I only had to do that one time when Vulcan got a hold of grapes when he was younger. Okay. And it was, I can't even imagine having to do that on a regular basis. I'm both so sad for you and so sad and happy for you all at the same time right now.
Yes.
I just want to give you a hug and say, it's okay, it's over.
It's right. It's okay. It's going to be okay.
So what kinds of, obviously there's that. Your dog's not puking up gelatinous blood and everything like that anymore. But have you seen any other benefits? I know that you do a lot of agility work and sports work.
I think just they're more focused, and I don't know if this is anything that anybody else has noticed, but I feel like when they would run and they were eating kibble, their drool was almost thicker. It wasn't it was weird. It was almost and really slimy. And now when they're running around, they're getting excited. They have it's more frothy, but their drool, they actually their drool is actually almost like water.
Right. Kind of like the difference between if you had spit and you just drink water, or you spit and you just drink a bunch of soda.
Yes. That's one of the things that I noticed that's really weird. And, it's just strange because I've never seen that before because I've never had raw fed dogs. And that's just they're more focused. My one, Mackenzie, she used to be so over the top. She just would bark. You couldn't get her to focus. And now after her being switched over, she's so focused. She just won first place in jumpers this past weekend.
Yay.
And she did it in 26 seconds. And she did not knock a bar. She used to be a bar knocker. And she checks in with me now. She's not so over the top that there's no bringing, I call her my crazy Kenzie. There's no bringing crazy Kenzie back. There used to not be. And now she's so focused. And that's the main thing that I noticed.
I love it. And who knows why? Maybe that's because they're not having those crazy, rapid bursts of energy coming from all the sugar, and then all of a sudden they crash. Maybe that's because they're less distracted by the fact that they're itching or something like that, and so they can focus without being physically bothered. Who knows why, but amazing. Right. I love it.
I was just joking around and saying now they're not all hopped up on sugar. I feel that's part of the reason.
Totally the reason. I've never seen an actual study that says it, but we know for sure that, sugar gets into their body, spikes their blood sugar levels, all that kind of stuff, and it makes them go bonkers. At least everybody that has ever fed a dog kibble has seen that. So to me, that's a huge thing, because with those more sustained levels of energy where you're not either, totally crashed with your face in the dirt or cracked up on sugar and you can't focus on anything, it's a lot easier to learn when you're not wanting to fall over and just die and go to sleep, or you can't hardly focus because you have so much energy. I love it.
The other big one that I love, when he was on the prescription foods, he never had tartar on his teeth because I'm a stickler for their dental hygiene, because I had a dog that had teeth that got messed up when he got into a fight with a woodchuck, and that just went ill. So he always had like problems with his teeth. So I've always been like a stickler with dental hygiene. He never had tartar on his teeth until I switched him to the prescription foods. He got caked tartar, especially near like the back of his mouth. The tartar is gone. And
Love
I've
it.
been eating for, I mean, it's been a couple months and it's gone. I was like about to cry because I mean, it was so thick that you couldn't even pick it off of his teeth.
Oh, jeez. This is like the classic stories that we're hearing right now of bad teeth and digestive problems and itching until
Mhm.
they bleed and all these other things, to happy dogs that are healthy with clean teeth that don't knock bars down anymore
Right.
and everything else. If you had to pick one thing and only one thing, what was your either biggest or favorite or most impactful takeaway from the course? Just one thing.
One thing,
Putting you on the spot now.
I don't even, honestly, I don't even know. Like, ugh, I can't even like pick one thing, honestly.
It doesn't even have to be like a video or anything. Just like whatever is the if you just had to tell someone one thing about it in a 10-second passing as they're walking by, and that's all that you got was that 10 seconds as they're walking by, and then they're gone.
Um, I mean, just give it a shot and don't like shut people down for like saying that they feed their dogs raw, because I've already encountered that, like, oh, you better give your dog supplements because now they're going to be missing out on all these vitamins and minerals because now you're feeding raw. And I'm like, but there's, what are you talking about, is what I just want to say. I mean, I guess just the benefits of all of it and everything that you talk about, just that people should just try to give it a shot and not shut people down for feeding raw.
So basically, yes, I did do my research. No, I'm not just
Yes.
feeding a bunch of hamburger and chicken necks, and that's all that I'm feeding. I actually did my research, and
Yes.
I'm comfortable with this decision. And I would much prefer having a healthy dog than to satisfy your concerns.
Right. Exactly. Or my response is, I've done my research and I continue to do my research. So, but thank you for your input. And
Your go-to statement.
yes. And then another thing is when people say that it's disgusting, well, it's less disgusting than having vomit and diarrhea all over your house. That's how I see it.
Constantly.
Yes.
So amazing. And I bet that your husband is probably happy that there's not dog vomit and feces all over the place anymore too.
Yeah. Yeah.
No one likes that. No one likes that. Like, the dogs feel like crap. You feel like crap. It stinks. It's just, ugh, it's a bad
Yes.
situation for everybody. So wrapping up here really quickly, and maybe you kind of sort of said it, I don't know, just barely. But if you were to have, are there any words that you have for maybe people that are on the fence or people that are also struggling with the same kind of problems that you're having? I'm not telling you pitching anything. I'm just saying, do you have
Right.
any words for those people that are going, maybe I want to do this raw thing. Maybe I don't. I have questions. I have concerns. What would you say to those people?
I mean, just like me, I knew nothing. I felt like I knew nothing. And I decided, I mean, my dog, I felt like if I didn't do something and try something different, that he was either going to not make it or be to the point where it was like they were going to have to do so much testing on him that it would have been ridiculous. And it was, all I did was just give it a try, because what else was there to lose? Either he was going to get worse or he was going to get better. And thankfully, in my case, he got better. And I mean, I didn't really have much to lose. It was either he was going to continuously have vomiting and diarrhea. And I mean, I went so slow, like with transitioning over. I made sure that he didn't have any other allergies to anything. I went above the like wait time. I waited like 7 to 10 days with certain proteins because I was so nervous and I was so like I didn't want to do anything wrong to make him even more sick than what he already was.
I
So
love it. I love it. You listened to your dog. It's
yeah.
such an important thing. Such an important thing. That's probably one of the biggest pieces of advice people can get is listen to your dog. They will tell you if you are willing to listen to what their body is telling you, the signs that they're giving you, they will tell you what is right. And that's exactly what you should have done, in my opinion. And just like all the videos say, don't just move on to the next step because the video says to move on to the next step. If you don't feel like your dog is ready, or your dog is telling you they're not ready, take your time, or else you might just start a whole other batch of problems. But it's so awesome. So amazing.
And then how are you supposed to know if you move too quick?
Right. Right. And dogs are super resilient. You know, puppies are a little bit different, and we want to get them transitioned as quickly as possible, if not immediately. But adults are different. Your dog is not going to sustain some kind of life-altering damage because they had only chicken necks and red meat for 2 weeks. They're resilient creatures. They eat in lots of countries. Unfortunately, they eat garbage off the street and they somehow live and make it. Your dog will be fine for a couple of weeks. I love it.
He was way better off because it was 48 hours and he had a solid stool after months of diarrhea. And I mean, I've never been so excited about poop before in my life. I was so happy. I was like seriously in my backyard, like I'm gonna do cartwheels, and it was like March, and I'm like, I don't even care if I slip and fall on the ice. I was so happy.
That's amazing. So amazing. I love it. I've said that probably 1,000 times in this video already, but it's because I love it. I love it. That is why I made the Raw Feeding 101 course, is because of this stuff. It's not rocket science. You do not need a PhD in animal nutrition to feed your dog a raw diet. There's stuff you need to learn. There's base knowledge info, but you can do it and you can get through it, and you can go from a gelatinous blood puking dog that constantly has diarrhea and is on drugs and prescription diets and all this other stuff to it's finally over. It's done. I don't have to do it anymore. So amazing. Love it.
But I mean, like, thank you, honestly, for taking the time and like making your videos, because I felt like I didn't have any other options. I was so confused. And then just thankfully I found your videos, because I honestly don't know what I was gonna do. I was just ready to just have like a breakdown, because I mean, watching him, he was perfectly fine. And then it was just like that, like clicked your fingers. And then for some odd reason, he was just severely sick. And it was all because of the kibble. And I take the kibble out of the equation and he would be fine. And then add it back in and it was just progressively worse. And now he's on raw and he's been fine.
Yay. You are so welcome. I'm so glad, because that dog looks amazing. The white is so white. The tan red color that they've got going on is beautiful. Your dog looks great. I love it. That's exactly
and they're super soft. They are softer than what they used to be. They're like silk.
Yes. I oftentimes forget about some of that stuff because I've been feeding raw for so long that some of those benefits just become like forgotten almost to me. And then I pet somebody else's dog and I'm like, dude, what is going on with your fur?
Right. Or they feel like greasy, or like their dog's like smells weird, like, and you have to go and wash your hands. Like my dogs were never like that because just the breeds that they are, but they're so soft now. And I mean, people will pet them and be like, oh my gosh, like your dog is so soft. And I'm like, I swear it's because of what they eat.
Yep. What shampoo are you using? Raw diet.
And I'm like, well, I don't shampoo my dogs. It's been like 6 months. Like, I don't know.
So amazing. I love it. I just want to say I love it 10,000 more times because I love it that much. It's great. So great. Well, thank you so much, Jamie. I appreciate your time. I'm sure that you have stuff to do, dogs to run, trials to,
yes,
bars to not knock down, all that kind of stuff. But thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And if you guys want to check out the course, it's really easy. Just go to rawfeeding101.com. I'm not going to pitch you. She pretty much just did it for me for half of an hour.